Hello everyone, you're watching the Google Sheets channel. Today is our 12th lesson on Google Sheets. In this lesson we're going to talk about combining data. To do this we'll be using the functions TEXTJOIN, CONCATENATE, and the helper function CHAR. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. Alright, let's start with the TEXTJOIN function. This function allows us to combine data using a specific delimiter, which we specify as the first argument of the function. This can be any delimiter you want to use, a space, a dash, or any set of characters. For example, let's try a space, comma, space. Just don't forget that this needs to be written as text and enclosed in quotation marks. The next argument of the function is a Boolean value, either true or false. Here, we're telling the function whether or not to ignore empty cells. So, let's choose true and move on to the next argument. I'll show you how it works. And now, for the final argument, we add the text we want to combine using the delimiter we defined at the beginning. For example, let's select this text, hold down Ctrl, and pick this one as well. Or, if the cells are next to each other, we can just select them together. Then we close the parentheses and see what we get. Our values are now joined together using the space, comma, space that we specified here. Now let's try selecting not just these two cells but the entire row. Then we close the parentheses. As you can see, everything got combined here. This part was skipped because we set the function to true, meaning it excludes empty cells or empty values we pass into it. Then it added all the remaining data. If we had set it to false, we would have seen just space, comma, space in the places where there were no values. So if we had missing data here, we'd end up with a bunch of commas, and we don't want that. That's why we're going to keep it set to true. This way, the empty cells are ignored. I think that's clear now. Let's put things back the way they were. Now let's take a look at how the concatenate function works. We type in the function. It's very simple. It joins one string to another, and it can do this as many times as you need. You can combine as many strings as you want in any way you prefer. It will keep joining everything together like this. You see, that's how it works. So if you just need to connect a few cells in your table, for example some names or pieces of data, you can easily use the concatenate function. Let's say you need to generate sender emails. You can do it like this. We choose concatenate, then we select the email prefix while holding Ctrl. Next we add a comma and join the @ symbol. After that we connect the email domain and we get something like johnsmith@example.com. Let's copy this formula over here and then drag it down to fill the rest. That way we'll get a full list of email addresses. Not many people know this, but the concatenate function also has a shorter way to write it. You can just type an equal sign, select the value you want to join, type the ampersand symbol, and attach the second part. Then use the ampersand again to add whatever else you need. And you'll get the same result as with the regular concatenate function. The only difference is that the formula is much shorter, but the result is exactly the same. Now you might ask, so what's the point of having both concatenate and this shorter method if we already have TEXTJOIN? And you'd be right. TEXTJOIN is simply more powerful. Yeah, it has broader functionality, but you don't always need that. In a case like this, the shorter version is easier to read and saves you some extra typing. There's no need to overcomplicate it, although technically you could achieve the same thing with the TEXTJOIN function too. Let's do it this way. We'll shrink our columns and write the third version using TEXTJOIN. We set our delimiter, choose to exclude empty cells, and select the values we want to combine. As a result, we now have 3 completely identical ways of creating our email entries. But TEXTJOIN can actually do a bit more. Let's say we created our emails using the shorter method, and now we want to display them all in one single cell as a list. For example, let's go back here and use the TEXTJOIN function again. We'll set a space as our delimiter for now, choose to exclude empty cells, and then simply select the entire column with our emails, the whole thing. We close the parentheses, and here's the result. All the emails are joined together with spaces in one single cell. You can see that no matter where I click, there's just one cell here. The entire list is inside that formula. But the formatting isn't very nice. To fix that, let's make it so each email starts on a new line. That way, it'll be easier to read. In this case, the char function comes in handy. Of course, we could technically do this without it. For example, by pressing Ctrl plus Enter, and that would work. All the values would be written with line breaks. But that's not really correct. And if you're working on a shared spreadsheet, someone might open it, find it inconvenient, and just undo your work. That could break everything you've set up. So for a clearer and more reliable way to structure your formula, we use the char function. Let's take a look at how it works. This function inserts characters into our cell based on a specific Unicode table. You can find this Unicode table on Wikipedia. I'll also leave a link to it in the video description. The table contains specific characters. Here they are, that the function can use. And what we're interested in is the line break character. Here it is, and here's its number. So let's try entering that number without the leading 0. Press Enter. We don't see anything, but we can notice that the cell slightly shifted down. That means the line break character worked. Now, let's go ahead and use the TEXTJOIN function again. But this time, we include char to insert a line break. And now, all our text data is combined properly in a single cell, with each value on a new line. You can explore the table and find other symbols that might be useful for your tasks. There are lots of different characters you can work with. Now let's try combining all this data into one cell, line by line. I'll copy it over so you have this example saved. Let's move it to another sheet. We'll use the TEXTJOIN function. We start by entering the delimiter. Let's use a comma. We set it to exclude empty values. First, we combine our first three values, John, Smith, and marketing. Then, we need to form the email using the prefix and domain. We'll do that with the ampersand. So we take the prefix, add the @ symbol, and attach the domain. Then, as the next argument, we add the phone number. Let's see what we got. Let the spreadsheet auto-expand the content for us. And here it is. Our data is now joined with commas in the format we needed based on the cell values. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like. And if you don't want to miss future lessons, make sure to subscribe to the channel. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.